Caitlin Clark posted a story on Instagram, and fans immediately started guessing what it meant. Some people thought it was a hint that she might make a surprise return in the playoffs, while others believed it was a sign of frustration directed at the Fever for ending her season too soon. The biggest reaction came from fans and analysts who said this is the moment where Caitlin skips the break and jumps straight into Unrivaled. The idea spread quickly, and it made sense, because after sitting out for months, she would definitely be hungry to play again, and honestly, there are many reasons why she could do it and why fans would love to see it, but the truth is it is not happening. Not this time. She is not making that move, and the reason why another path makes more sense is right in front of us. This is a short video, so watch till the end, and you will feel relieved that Caitlin Clark is not stepping into Unrivaled, and even more excited about what is coming next. But first, hit the like button if you believe Caitlin will be back on the court before the 2026 WNBA season. Now, let us break down why Unrivaled is not the step for Caitlin Clark right now.
Now, how could an injury like this be prevented? Believe it or not, one way could actually be playing in Unrivaled. And not because Unrivaled is fun to watch, just because Unrivaled is an actual development league, and it could get her into game shape so that when she does go into the WNBA, there isn't as much of like a shock about getting in and playing against all the competitors, because, you know, she's definitely a target out there.
On the surface, the idea of Caitlin Clark playing in Unrivaled does make sense, because there is no way she heads into next season completely cold after 8 or maybe 9 months without competitive basketball. That is just not realistic. Last year, the long break may have helped her mentally reset, but from a conditioning and rhythm standpoint, she will need to play somewhere, and Unrivaled does check a lot of boxes. It is short-term. It is in one location, it only runs a few months, and the payout could be massive, especially now since Unrivaled just secured a B round of funding at a huge $340 million valuation. That is not small-time money. That is the kind of money that shows they are ready to make a big splash, and with that much cash available, it is hard not to imagine they will try to throw a serious offer at Caitlin Clark right now.
Now, maybe they didn't have it last year, but now they have deep enough pockets. They have a well that they could go to, reach in that well, pull out a big bag of money, and finally approach the big dog with a real contract. Finally approach the big dog with a real offer. Yeah, that 1 million, 2 million, 5%, that's nothing compared to what they're going to offer CC now.
Honestly, if there is no CBA in place, then Unrivaled will definitely make a push for Caitlin Clark, because imagine what happens if they land her and let her effect take over. The ratings go up, sponsors pour in, revenues explode, and suddenly Unrivaled looks like a billion-dollar League One that, if it ever switched to full 5-on-5, could actually challenge the WNBA. Remember, analysts estimated that Caitlin alone was worth $1 billion to the WNBA this season if healthy, and right now the entire WNBA is valued at just $3.5 billion, but that number only exists because team values more than doubled the moment Caitlin arrived. So yes, if Caitlin played in Unrivaled, we are talking sold-out arenas, massive paydays, and big equity stakes. And do not forget, she already turned down millions from Ice Cube and the Big Three, so the number here would have to be enormous. But this is where the fantasy stops, because Caitlin Clark is not going to play in Unrivaled, and here is why. First, the 3-on-3 format is brutal on the body. Last season, players were dropping left and right, and teams even had to forfeit games because of injuries. Sure, it builds cardio, but the risk is not worth it. Second, it is the same group of players who rough her up in the WNBA, and there is no chance they suddenly protect her just because they own part of the league. Third, the messy CBA talks. Unrivaled is tied directly to the negotiations, and the WNBA does not want players joining it, and you have stars like Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier running the league while also representing the players' union, which is a huge conflict of interest, and Caitlin is not touching that at all. Fourth, branding. Caitlin Clark's entire identity is about prestige, championships, and competing at the highest level with no gimmicks and no sideshows. She even turned down a 3-on-3 Olympic spot, and while people said it was fatigue from the non-stop grind, the truth is if it was a 5-on-5 Team USA spot, she would have accepted instantly. She did not want the sideshow, and that same logic applies here. Playing in Unrivaled would only weaken her brand, which brings us to the real story. And this is where it gets interesting, because branding is the key, and if you connect the dots, you see what Caitlin is more likely to do instead, and that is Nike. Finally, Nike launched her signature logo, and all signs point to a shoe release in May 2026 right as the WNBA season begins. Now Nike was slow with the rollout because they wanted to give Aya Wilson's shoe space to sell first, but now the runway is clear and Nike is ready to go all in on Caitlin. And remember, she is not just an Iowa legend or a WNBA star, she is a global brand, and so is Nike. So what is the perfect way to keep her hype alive during the offseason? The answer is Europe top level 5-on-5 basketball with stacked teams full of WNBA all-stars. Fenerbahce alone has featured players like Gabby Williams, Jonquil Jones, Emma Meesman, and Dominique Malone on no weak competition at all. Imagine Nike running global campaigns with Caitlin Clark across Europe with billboards and Caitlin was here slogans in every city she plays in. While on the court, she gets valuable reps, keeps her rhythm sharp, and builds massive hype for her WNBA return. It is clean, it avoids the CBA mess, it carries prestige, and it ties perfectly with Nike's global machine. Think about Ronaldo in Saudi Arabia, Messi in Miami, Beckham in LA. Caitlin will not hit those same paychecks. But the model is the same: expand your brand globally and then bring the hype back home. And if you are the WNBA, that is a dream, because a healthy Caitlin Clark returns as an even bigger global star right when her signature shoe launches. And that means more eyes on the league from far outside the US. And there is still one more angle that could be even bigger and better.
I still think the Caitlin Clark Tour, the Caitlin Clark World Tour, might be the best option, as in she plays 5v5, she brings a team of 12 WNBA players and they do 2 3-week tours, which means they might get in 3 weeks, 21 days. They play 6 games. They play a game every 3 days in different cities around Europe, and then they take a break, then they do a tour of Australia and China. They play against all the top EuroLeague teams. They play against all the top teams in the NBL and all the top teams in the WCBA.
This idea is even more niche and even more on brand, something she could fully own and control, and something that would once again push her brand to another level. Because let us be real, it would be all anyone talks about. Remember when Caitlin squared off against that Brazilian team in the preseason, and 1.3 million people tuned in just to watch an exhibition game? That is the Caitlin effect. Fans would line up, pay real money, and tune in worldwide simply to see her play. And that is the point. She does not need Unrivaled, and she does not even need Europe if she does not want it, because she already has the brand equity to create whatever she wants, even if that is just a handful of exhibitions, her games on her terms, without committing to a full season. So when you step back and consider her decisions, her brand, and the facts in front of us, the Unrivaled fantasy ends right here. It is not happening. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think Caitlin might surprise us, or did I miss something? Share your thoughts in the comments, because one thing feels certain: we will be watching Caitlin Clark basketball in early 2026.